Caitlin Clark's WNBA impact faces major threat from Napheesa Collier's Unrivaled. While the WNBA Finals are in full swing, the spotlight hasn't quite been on the court. Instead, all eyes have been on a revelation from Napheesa Collier, who shared details of her private conversation with WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelbert in her exit interview. Collier revealed Engelbert's remark about Caitlin Clark. Caitlin should be grateful she makes $16 million off the court, because without the platform that the WNBA gives her, she wouldn't make anything. The comment has since dominated headlines, and one analyst believes there may have been an ulterior motive behind Collier leaking it. It's interesting to note that the vice presidents of the WNBA relentlessly fighting for higher pay for players are none other than Napheesa Collier and Breanna Stewart, founders of Unrivaled, a 3v3 league built by basketball people for basketball players, as they put it. While Unrivaled has already given players the option to skip overseas stints and stay closer to home, Rachel Demita speculates that the league could stand to benefit massively if the WNBA and WNBA fail to reach a new agreement. In the latest episode of Courtside Club, Demita said, "We've talked about this conflict of interest many times where Napheesa Collier and Breanna Stewart, they are the ones who founded Unrivaled, and a lot of people have wondered if it makes sense for them to be at the negotiations table, because if the WNBA locks out if there's not a season, it actually benefits Unrivaled." Time and again, both Collier and Stewart have reiterated that Unrivaled was never meant to replace the WNBA. It's a league that offers better facilities and pay for WNBA stars. In 2025, the WNBA's minimum salary stood at $66,079 for players with 2 or fewer years of service, and $78,831 for those with 3 or more. The regular maximum reached $214,466, while the Supermax contracts touched around $250,000. On the other hand, Unrivaled, with its $8 million total salary pool, has set a new standard in women's professional sports. It offers the highest pay, with an average salary of $222,222, and even gives players equity. But as Satu Savali revealed, one point in the CBA discussions has been the WNBA's concern about players joining Unrivaled, fearing injuries could sideline them. So, who really benefits if no agreement is reached before the October 31st deadline? Collier and Stewart. Demita also questioned their place on the negotiation committee, suggesting that even if they claim to represent the players, there's inevitably some favoritism toward their own league. They've said from the beginning is we want players to make good money. Now, if that is the goal for the players, then working on a CBA negotiation to get the players paid more, paid enough that you don't need Unrivaled, should also be part of their goal. But they're in such a sticky place because they were just evaluated for over, I think, $320 million. What are they going to tell the people who put so much money into their league if all of a sudden they can't have this league? So, they have to fight for it in a sense. Demita continued on her podcast. This argument does make sense as to why Collier would reveal her conversations with Engelbert, calling it the worst leadership in the world, while also bringing Caitlin Clark into the mix and rallying her massive fan base to put added pressure on Engelbert. Whether they want a lockout or not is not for us to speculate, but one thing is clear. If the league fails to reach an agreement and enters a full season lockout, the impact Caitlin has had in growing the game could go to waste. As Demita further explains, and now again, they're sitting on the edge of probably locking out for next season. So all this momentum that is created by primarily one person, Caitlin Clark, all of this momentum that they have might fall off a cliff because they can't get a deal done. And they might not be able to get a deal done because of a competitor's league, which started off with amazing intentions. It goes without saying that Caitlin Clark's impact on the league has been nothing short of monumental. During Clark's rookie year, the league drew an all-time record of over 54 million unique viewers across ABC, CBS, ESPN, ESPN2, ION, and NBA TV. A record 22 regular season game telecasts drew at least 1 million viewers. In 2024, the WNBA games racked up a record 136.29 million total viewing hours across all national networks. The 2024 season also saw its highest total attendance in 22 years, with 2,353,735 fans, a 48% increase from 2023, though that record has been surpassed this year. The league's 154 sellouts in 2024 marked a staggering 242% increase from the 45 sellouts recorded in the 2023 season. Clark is the reason the WNBA feels confident enough to reject the current CBA and push for better terms. She's the one who has put the WNBA back on the map. So, it's not shocking that some might try to use her as a pawn to get what they want. That's not our claim. It's also what Coach Stephanie White believes is happening with Clark right now because of her popularity. I hate it all for Caitlin. She's a 23-year-old kid who loves to play this game, who is a pawn in a lot of other people's games and a lot of other people's narratives. White told Query on Friday's show on 107.5 The Fan. And I hate that for her. The WNBA can't afford to lose Clark, and Unrivaled doesn't have her. So what's the smartest way for Collier and Stewie to gain leverage? Put pressure on the W using Clark's name. Of course, as Demeeta points out, these are still assumptions. It's very possible they have no ulterior motives at all and are simply fighting because the players genuinely deserve better. We don't really know what's going on behind the scenes, but as Demeeta says, it would be a shame if both parties fail to come to an agreement. That said, Coach White did have a piece of advice for Caitlin Clark. Stephanie White has some advice. Willingly or not, Caitlin Clark has found herself pulled into these discussions. She was asked about this and made her stance clear. She said they need excellent leadership at this time at all levels, calling this by far the most important moment in the league's history. For Clark, the focus remains on guiding the W in the right direction under a new CBA. It's not just about bigger paychecks. It's about player safety, better facilities, and building a sustainable league for the future. Still, her coach believes she sometimes gets pulled into battles that aren't hers to fight and has some advice for her and everyone else, honestly. Speaking on 93.5 and 107.5, The Fan's Query and Company show, Coach White shared how Caitlin should handle the situation. I think the biggest thing is we can be there for her. We can offer perspective and do what we can to help deflect and navigate. But at the same time, it's a life that she has to lead. And I think she does it admirably, with so much grace and humility. It would be quite a disappointment if Unrivaled ended up being the reason behind a WNBA lockout, but that feels unlikely. The players are well within their rights to demand higher pay, better officiating, improved facilities, and expanded roster spots with the league growing at a rapid pace. This likely has little to do with Unrivaled, which will still stand as a premier off-season destination for players who'd rather earn more money staying home than heading overseas. What do you think of Demeeta's claims? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.